At least 95 people killed by earthquake, state media. Chinese state media reported earlier that at least 53 people were killed and 62 others injured after the 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck the mountainous Tibet region on Tuesday morning. The death toll, given by Chinese state media, has now been increased to 95. 130 people were reported to have been injured. A total of 95 people have been confirmed dead and 130 others injured as of 3 p.m., 7 o'clock GMT. Xinhua news agency said. The earthquake shook buildings in neighboring Nepal, Bhutan, and India, but all the deaths were reported on the Tibetan side, over 1,000 houses damaged by earthquake as tremor strikes Tibet. There are 3 townships and 27 villages within 20 kilometers, 12 miles, of the epicenter of the earthquake, which had its epicenter high up in the remote Tibetan plateau, close to the Himalayan border with Nepal, about 50 miles north of Mount Everest. These affected areas had a total population of about 6,900, Chinese state media reported. More than 1,000 houses have reportedly been damaged. As we have been reporting, the 7.1 magnitude earthquake's epicenter is located in Tingri, a rural Chinese county known as the northern gateway to the Everest region. Temperatures in the county are around -8°C, 17.6 F, and are estimated by forecasters to drop to -18 this evening. The Chinese Air Force has launched rescue efforts and drones to the affected area amid the below-freezing conditions. Tuesday's epicenter was around 80 kilometers, 50 miles, north of Mount Everest, the world's highest mountain and a popular destination for climbers and trekkers. Winter is not a popular season for climbers and hikers in Nepal, with a German climber, the lone mountaineer, with a permit to climb Mount Everest, Reuters reports. He had already left the base camp after failing to reach the summit. Lalitha Awasthi, a Department of Tourism official, said that Nepal's National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority, NDRRMA, said the tremors were felt in 7 hill districts bordering Tibet. So far we have not received any information of any loss of life and property, NDRRMA spokesman Dizan Bhattarai told Reuters. We have mobilized police, security forces, and local authorities to collection information. He said many villages in the Nepalese border area, which are sparsely populated, are remote and can only be reached by foot. The Associated Press has put together a short timeline of the worst earthquake to hit China in recent years, including the 2008 Sichuan quake that killed nearly 90,000 people. The IT notes that earthquakes in China happen most frequently on the Tibetan Plateau or its fringes. The seismically active area is where the India and Eurasia plates clash and cause uplifts that can be strong enough to change the heights of Himalayan peaks. Here's the timeline. May 2008. A magnitude 7.9 earthquake leaves nearly 90,000 people dead or missing and presumed dead in Sichuan province. Some more pictures have come in from Lats County and Shigatse, the Tibetan city worst hit by the earthquake. Chinese President Xi Jinping has ordered all-out rescue efforts to save lives and minimize casualties, the state-run news agency Xinhua reported. The president had also urged efforts to prevent secondary disasters, properly resettle affected residents, and handle the aftermath work effectively. It reported that as well as Kathmandu, areas around Lobush in Nepal and the high mountains near Everest were also rattled by the tremor and aftershocks, AFP reported. It shook quite strongly here. Everyone is awake, said government official Jugat Prasad Buzil in Nepal's Namche region, which lies nearer to Everest, but no damage or deaths had been reported so far, and security forces had been deployed. Nepali Home Minister spokesman Rishi Ram Tiwari said Nepal lies on a major geological fault line where the Indian tectonic plate pushes up into the Eurasian plate, forming the Himalayas, and earthquakes are a regular occurrence. In 2015, nearly 9,000 people died, and more than 22,000 were injured when a 7.8 magnitude quake struck Nepal, destroying more than 500,000 homes. At least 53 dead after strong earthquake. Hello, and welcome to our live coverage of the earthquake in Tibet. The quake struck near one of Tibet's holiest cities, the China Earthquake Network Center (CNC) has said, killing at least 53 people and collapsing many buildings, with tremors also felt in neighboring Nepal's capital Kathmandu and parts of India. The quake struck Dingri County, with a magnitude of 6.8 near the border with Nepal on Tuesday morning, according to the China Earthquake Network Center (CNC). The U.S. Geological Survey reported the tremor as magnitude 7.1. 53 people have been confirmed dead and 62 others injured as of Tuesday noon, after a 6.8 magnitude earthquake jolted Dingri County in the city of Shigatse in Xizang, Tibet, Autonomous Region at 9:05 a.m. Tuesday, the official Xinhua news agency said. Videos published by China's state broadcaster CCTV showed destroyed houses with walls torn apart and rubble strewn across the ruins in the aftermath of the earthquake. Temperatures in Dingri are around -8 degrees Celsius and will drop to -18 this evening, according to the China Meteorological Administration, AFP reported. The high-altitude county in the Tibet region is home to about 62,000 people and situated on the Chinese side of Mount Everest. While earthquakes are common in the region, Tuesday's quake was the most powerful recorded within a 200-kilometer radius in the last 5 years, the CNC added. Stay with us as we cover the developments. Tibet earthquake. At least 95 reported dead as strong quake strikes near holy Shigatse city. Live updates. Chinese state media also say 130 injured as rescue efforts in remote high-altitude terrain underway in below-freezing conditions. At least 95 people killed by earthquake. Chinese state media reported earlier that at least 53 people were killed and 62 others injured after the 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck the mountainous Tibet region on Tuesday morning. The death toll, given by Chinese state media, has now been increased to 95. 130 people were reported to have been injured. A total of 95 people have been confirmed dead and 130 others injured as of 3 p.m., 7 o'clock GMT, Xinhua news agency said. The earthquake shook buildings in neighboring Nepal, Bhutan, and India, but all the deaths were reported on the Tibetan side. At least 95 people were killed and 130 others reported injured after a major earthquake struck the mountainous Tibet region this morning. According to Chinese state media, the area most affected is surrounded by mountainous terrain on the Chinese side of Mount Everest. Dingri, the center, is home to about 62,000 people and is much less developed than urban centers like Tibet's capital Lhasa. State media said the initial earthquake was followed by a number of aftershocks with magnitudes of up to 4.4. About 1,000 houses were damaged in the quake, which hit at 9:05 a.m. local time. The U.S. Geological Survey said the earthquake was centered in the Tibet region at a depth of about 10 kilometers, 6 miles. It measured the tremor at magnitude 7.1. The tremors were felt in Nepal's capital, Kathmandu, where residents ran from their houses. They were also felt in the northern Indian state of Bihar, which borders Nepal. Tuesday's quake was the most powerful recorded within a 200-kilometer, 124-mile radius in the last 5 years, the China Earthquake Network Center said. Tibet's spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, said he was deeply saddened and was offering prayers for those killed in the earthquake. Over 1,500 local firefighters and rescue workers had been dispatched to the affected areas. China's state-run news agency, Xinhua, reported 22,000 items, including cotton tents, cotton coats, quilts, and folding beds, have also been sent to the region. The Chinese president, Xi Jinping, said all-out search and rescue efforts should be carried out to minimize casualties, properly resettle the affected people, and ensure a safe and warm winter. Our video team has put together a report on the deadly earthquake and its aftermath. Russia's President, Vladimir Putin, has expressed his sincerest condolences to his Chinese counterpart, Xi Jinping, over the Tibet earthquake that killed at least 95 people. Russia shares the grief of those who have lost relatives and close ones as a result of this natural disaster and hopes for a speedy recovery, Putin told Xi in a message posted by the Kremlin. China annexed Tibet in 1951 and has retained tight control over the region ever since. The epicenter of the earthquake was high up in the remote Tibetan plateau, close to the Himalayan border with Nepal, about 50 miles north of Mount Everest. Tremors were felt in Nepal's capital, Kathmandu, 400 kilometers, 250 miles, away, where residents ran from their houses. Tremors were also felt in the northern Indian state of Bihar, which borders Nepal. Here is a graphic of the areas affected by the 7.1 magnitude earthquake. Teams of lawyers from the rich and powerful trying to stop us publishing stories they don't want you to see. lobby groups with opaque funding who are determined to undermine facts about the climate emergency and other established science. Authoritarian states, with no regard for the freedom of the press, bad actors spreading disinformation online to undermine democracy. But we have something powerful on our side. The Guardian is funded by readers, like you in Bangladesh, and the only person who decides what we publish is our editor. If you want to join us in our mission to share independent, global journalism to the world, we'd love to have you on side. Please choose to support us today. It only takes a minute, and you can cancel at any time. Thank you that we mentioned in a previous post, see at 7.35, that the Chinese Air Force has launched rescue efforts and drones to the area affected by the earthquake. Reports are now coming through of Chinese Vice Premier Zhang Weqing being dispatched to the area to guide the work. The government, meanwhile, has announced the allocation of 100 million yuan, $13.6 million, 10.8 million pounds for disaster relief. The earthquake struck this morning in Dingri County, in the Tibet region of China, with several aftershocks subsequently felt in the area, including in Nepal. The earthquake's epicenter was recorded in Shigatse City, the second-largest city in Tibet. Tenzin Lekshe, a spokesperson of that government, said they were also deeply saddened by the loss of lives and the extensive destruction of property caused by the earthquake. Our heartfelt condolences go out to the grieving families, he said. Tibetan Buddhists believe the Dalai Lama is the 14th reincarnation of the leader of an institution dating back 6 centuries, chosen by monks according to ancient Buddhist traditions. As of 11:40 a.m. local time, over 1,500 local firefighters and rescue workers had been dispatched to the affected earthquake areas, China's state-run news agency Xinhua reported. 22,000 items including cotton tents, cotton coats, quilts and folding beds have also been sent to the region, it said. The impact of the earthquake, that hit Tibet's holy Shigatse city about 9 o'clock local time, 1 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, was felt across the Shigatse region of Tibet, home to 800,000 people. State media said the initial earthquake, that had an epicenter in the Tingri region, about 240 miles from Tibet's capital Lhasa, was followed by a number of aftershocks with magnitudes of up to April 4th, 50 aftershocks recorded in the hours after the earthquake. The earthquake's epicenter was about 75 kilometers, 50 miles, northeast of Mount Everest, which straddles the China-Nepal border. The area is seismically active and is where the India and Eurasia plates clash and cause uplifts in the Himalayan mountains strong enough to change the heights of some of the world's tallest peaks. About 50 aftershocks were recorded in the 3 hours after the earthquake, and the Mount Everest scenic area on the Chinese side was closed after the quake. According to the Associated Press, residents in Tingri County, near the earthquake's epicenter, have said the quake wreaked so much destruction partly because of the flimsy design of houses there. The quake led to the damage of more than 1,000 houses. Sangji Dangji, 34, whose supermarket in Tingri County suffered considerable damage, described the situation as very serious, with ambulances taking people to hospital throughout the day. Here the houses are made from dirt, so when the earthquake came, lots of houses collapsed. Dangji, who returned home from Shigatse after the earthquake struck, told agents France Presse AFP. Disaster relief aid, including cotton tents, quilts and items for high-altitude and frigid areas, had been dispatched by central authorities to areas affected by the earthquake. At least 95 people killed by earthquake, state media. Chinese state media reported earlier that at least 53 people were killed and 62 others injured after the 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck the mountainous Tibet region on Tuesday morning. The death toll, given by Chinese state media, has now been increased to 95. 130 people were reported to have been